All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And you are listening to Shop Talk with Mel. Oh, Amber D. We got a lot to talk about. We talked about it last week
Right.
of what we were going to discuss. So I guess some of you guys, if you didn't tune in last week, you'll be in for a great surprise because we're going to talk about it, the cancel culture. That's what we talking about. The cancel culture, the discussion. We must communicate this for real. Let me put this information out there for you guys who are just tuning in, and this may be your first time listening to Shop Talk with Mel. Listen, you can call in live. You can also text right here, and when you text, we will read, your comments live and post, comment, all that other stuff. Like, share, subscribe, follow us on YouTube as well. So the phone number here is 619-902-2287, 619-902-2287. For the listening audience, it's probably like, oh, you're going way too fast. What up, Amber?
Nothing. Oh man, it's been a week, man. I don't want to
It's
get
been a
into
week.
all the. It's really been a week, kind of crazy, but it all work out. So
That's all that's important, that it all works out. It's the way we look at things.
exactly.
Okay, so boom. I'm like, so let's get into the happy hour. Yes, the happy hour. When you can find the happy in everything that you do. In my case, my happy is my funny. So I got to tell you what happened, right?
Okay.
So I was sitting there, I was having a discussion with somebody, and I was telling them about when I ran into the back of somebody. So I ran into the back of them because I fell asleep.
Oh my goodness.
Fell asleep behind the wheel. But here's the deal. So I was at a concert. I went to see the New Edition concert. And I'm with my cousin, and she's newly blind.
Okay.
So, like, newly blind, that's your cousin the whole time, y'all rocking all the time. But she's newly blind. So I keep forgetting that she's blind. So, usually I go to work, I can go to a concert, I can just kick it all day. But it's different when you have somebody with you with a special need.
Right.
Sight is everything. Listen, I'm for real. So different than, like a different disability. She was cussing me out. It was funny though. Because I was like, I'm gonna drop you off at the door because I'm thinking the regular, I'm like, I'm gonna drop you off at the door. And she was like, no, the F you, I ain't dropping me off at the door. I forgot because it matters, right?
Right. Right.
Let me get to this part. Let me get to the part with the accident. So we go, I'm exhausted. I didn't realize I was that exhausted. So she was hungry. So we go on the line, and the Riley's line, that's where we were. Man, listen, we was in that line for so long, I nodded off.
Oh boy.
So, right.
Yeah, rallies is slow, man.
But this we're in Cleveland.
Okay.
So I'm in the line, and it is slow, and it's late at night, and I nod off. I don't even realize that I nod off. Usually when I wait in line, I put the car in park. Didn't put the car in park. I woke up to a bump in the car. Boom. Naturally, here I am. I'm looking at her. You know what I mean? Her head on a swivel. Like, what happened?
Right.
And I'm like, you ain't tell me I was asleep. Forgot again.
Oh, goodness.
Forgot she was blind. So she really want to know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Listen, when I woke up, I was like, I'm not getting out this car because I'd have bumped into this big truck, right? I was like, I'm not getting out this car. I looked, I seen it with some white dudes. I was like, oh, I'm really not getting out the car. Like, no, I'm really not going, right? So then I guess we both thinking the same thing. Like, they white, they downtown Cleveland, like they probably looking like they black. I ain't getting out the car, so we both got the same standstill. So my cousin was like, what happened? I said, I done hit the back of the car. I said, why'd you tell me I was asleep? She's like, what? How am I do that? So she didn't know. She just said, what happened? Listen, they get out, the door opens, the passenger side door opens. So now I'm like back some because, I'm like, I need to make sure I got a way to exit. I need an exit plan. So all this smoke comes out of the car. Then the other door, I guess they let the window, they open it, all this smoke come out the door. I have never been so happy to see some cats high. I was so happy to see them there. I was like, oh, they got smoke. Dude gets out the car, right? I should have told her to get out with her stick to make him really trip.
Yeah.
Like, get out. You know what I mean? That's what I should have did. Should have been like, get out. You know, you go over there. Anyway, dude gets out the car. He looks at the back. He was like, you got a few scratches. He was like, but nothing's wrong here. Thumbs up. Okay. Have a good day. Listen, right. We ain't eating at Riley's. We out of here. Like, yeah. Was like, we have escaped. I have escaped, you know. But that's the happy. So that's why I was like, the happy hour. You always have to look at things and say, okay, look at my present situation, live in the moment. What's the funny about it? Don't take me to a funeral.
Okay.
Don't sit next to me at a funeral. I cannot help it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I am that person. So, happy hour. Go ahead. What happened crazy with your life this week that you got?
Oh man. You know, I had some friends over and the police ended up coming to my home twice. It was kind of ridiculous, but you know, I just want to keep it brief. But it was just like we'll keep it short and sweet. But you know, it's all resolved now and it's okay. And I really thought about it because like one of my intentions with my home was to be like a hostess and to have family gatherings and things like that. And I feel like most people that I know can attest that almost every family gathering, there's some stuff pops off, you know? I mean, right. Exactly. So I was just like, man, because I was like, oh, this ain't happening again. But then I really thought about it and I was like, it wasn't that big of a deal and it all worked out okay. And I love throwing parties. So I was just like, I guess I'm gonna be that house, like, oh, they always got stuff popping off there. Like
that's what I was about to say. Like
exactly.
That's the house. Don't let me find out, Amber D, you over there throwing wild brothels.
No. No, it was just, yeah, you know, but you know, things happen sometimes, you know. So, but I will, you know,
was it the noise ordinance or it
was it was
conflict of interest, like miscommunication. What?
Yeah, it was miscommunication. I would say.
Okay, was alcohol involved?
No.
Oh snap! Don't let me find. Okay. Oh.
Right, but I was just like, oh no.
What time the party start? What time the party start? I'm leaving by. If it started 7, I'm out at 7:15 because it pops off over there. Right.
I was telling my friend like, this has never happened to me before. Like I always am the person calling the police. Like nobody's ever called the police on me. So I was like, whoa.
Well, wait, did you have to call the police or did a neighbor call the police on you?
The neighbor called the police. So I was just like, oh boy. Oh my goodness. But then I was like, you know, it'll be okay. Everything will be fine.
Everything was fine.
Yeah. It's all going to get smooth over. So, and I'm going to have people. I'm actually doing Thanksgiving this year at my house too. So, and I think I have 9.
Same guests?
No, mostly. Well, no, yeah, no, mostly different guests. But yeah, I'll have like 9 people at my house for Thanksgiving.
How many did you have over this week?
5.
Oh, it's about to really pop off.
No, everything should be fine. It'll be chill. But yeah, it was for me. It was a lot. So I was just like,
that is hilarious. Yeah, that is different. That is very different. All right, what's up? Did you see Herschel pulled out a police badge?
No, I just heard about his DNA paternity and situation. And I think he finally agreed to a debate with Warnock. And I was like, it's going to be highly watched in a bad way.
Entertaining.
Right. In an entertaining bad way. Not in a good way.
Clearly, he don't care.
I mean, he's still running, which is, there's a disconnect.
But you know what though? Is it really? Because I remember like years ago, I want to say it was a Sally Jesse Raphael show. I believe it was. Don't quote me on it, guys, but you guys can fact check that. Where President Trump, let me be respectful, President Trump actually said that he was going, if he ran for something, he would run as a Republican because they follow anybody.
I remember
And
that.
this is when he was a Democrat. You remember?
Right. I remember they covered it and they discussed it many times because
Okay.
To be a Democrat. And then,
he flipped over. But guess what? There's some validity to it. So now you have a Herschel there. And am I pronouncing his name right?
You're right.
Okay. And he's still going, and his family is like, no, Herschel Walker. His family is like, no, he shouldn't run, and they're against him, but he's still doing it.
And he's still being supported.
Backers.
Yeah, he has backers and supporters. And I feel like the only thing I've heard that makes sense to me is that his fan base or support base, don't think he's like, the brightest or whatever.
The brightest bulb on the string of lights.
Right. But I think they feel like he will fall in line with Republican ideals and voting patterns. So he's still a shoo-in. And no, he can't lead, but he's going to add to their numbers. And so it's like, okay, well, he's certified, like a certified Republican. Like, we know he's going to vote along party lines, and that's going to do us a favor. We don't need him to think. He just needs to follow dictation. And I think he does. So,
right.
That's why. And I feel like, that's basically like a puppet. And so I think it's kind of reasonable.
Okay. So now I'm glad you used the term puppet. So that, they got the term house ninja. I'm going to say that just to be respectful. Yeah. And then you have the term token ninja. We hear that. Why is it that we, as Black people, have a problem with that?
Those terms? Or that like...
With him being that person. With him accepting that position. Because clearly he's accepting it. Because,
for sure.
Like you said, I'm good. I don't have to say a legend on that part. I had to think like, let's see. Clearly he's okay with being that person, but we get upset when people step into that role, and that's the role that's making him money, and he's okay with it. Why is that?
Willingly. I think it's because, it's another situation of being individualistic as a Black person, and he's doing what is best for himself. I'm sure he's aware that he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but he still has, his ambitions and his goals. And it's like, okay, I have this really big hindrance of my limited intelligence, but I want to be in a position of authority. I want to be a political figure. I want to be a celebrity. I want to impact change. How can I overcome this? And I feel like he's found a path in order to overcome that and still achieve what he wants to achieve. Because he's still running, he's still passionate, he's still insistent on it. And then he's found a way to gain supporters and maintain supporters through all of his blunders, utilizing this strategy of being the token. So,
but even, let me say this, but even if he was a ruler, and this is just my opinion, a ruler, piece of wood,
okay,
and it'd be like ruler running as a Republican. The Republican Party will back whoever is representing them, regardless of what they think about them personally.
Right.
So he applied for the position to be that guy. I'll do that. To be that guy.
Okay.
But he applied for the position that he know what it entails, and he's okay with that. I.e., Candace Owens taking the heat.
Yeah.
And a lot of people not liking her. Remember they had Omarosa in that box.
Yep.
then it's like, okay, we accept her back. We are such a forgiving people.
We really are. And it's, what was I gonna say? As far as Herschel Walker, it's
Walker.
Walker. It's
Herschel Walker.
Herschel Walker, exactly. Like what I wanted to say as far as he's Republican, I don't feel like it's much different than Democrats. I mean, it's a little bit better, I suppose, but
You better talk.
It's really not. I feel like it's just a different form. It's more like condescending, like, oh, white savior complex, and we have to, like, we know what's best for you type of energy. But I feel like Black people as a community, as a political group, have allowed that. So it's just is what it is.
Yeah. Google couldn't stand that term. It is what it is. No, it's not. But here's the thing. I would say, and this is not all, this is just my views. As a Democrat, we as Democrats, and I got to say, even, Black people, we tend to take our personal feelings and emotions and project it on to other people, or make our decisions based off of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why the Republicans are winning. Because it's like, yeah, I might not like the person, whatever. That's our representative. That's what we go for. This is representing us. We need another seat in Senate. So we need this guy here. And fine, we know for sure that he'll vote this way.
Right. Exactly.
So looking at, and this is just me on the outside looking in, looking at the goal, the end goal, and not the process through. Because even like his son being on there and people are looking at, well, that's his son's personal emotions. That's his son, his personal relationship, what he knows about him. And then they're talking about him with, the abortions, and he's totally against abortions, but he paid for an abortion like some years ago. We do have the right to change our mind. What's wrong with that?
I think that the big difference here with like the political parties is that Republicans understand there's choices that you make in your personal life, and then there's your political choices and beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're separating those two because, Herschel Walker is not the only Republican in that situation.
Right. He's not. They're focused on him because listen.
So
we held our politicians to a higher standard. Mm-hmm. There was a time where you held them to a higher standard, the moral, they cared about morals and values. And then you look at it now. And after President Trump got in, everybody like, okay, well, throw me in the hat.
Right.
So that's where that's at. But I feel bad that his son, not that his son clearly is not going to vote for him, but, but I don't know if he's a Republican, they'll vote. They'll be upset, but they'll vote regardless, for who they want for the representative. But his son coming out and throwing all of that, what was that for?
I think it was, to touch on what you just said, emotional. It's very personal, very private. And I think that his son was just like, calling out the hypocrisy. I don't know if you've ever had that experience where, you have an interaction or experience with someone and then they go out and publicly say something completely different. And it's like, use a damn lie. Like,
well, of course I had. Look, they be in the kitchen, like, girl, blah, 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 blah. The problem is I air my dirt first.
Right.
That's me. I air my dirt, or they try to find dirt, or be like, oh, what is their child doing? Oh my gosh, what is this? What is that? Like, okay, that don't affect me.
Right.
Especially, you know what I mean? Like his son is grown. You're grown.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't affect me. Like 50 Cent, we talked about that last week with the child support. You're 25 and you upset you're getting $6,500 a month, and you want to put that out there in the community for what?
Yeah.
For what? That listen, I'm with 50 on that one. It don't affect me. And here's the thing: how about the people that wait for you, feel as though that you need to justify somebody else's decisions or someone else's actions, and they want you to justify it so that you're more comfortable? Nah, that ain't me. You ain't comfortable, keep moving.
Right.
Which brings us to our topic: cancel culture. Date up in here. Cancel culture, Amber D, the discussion. We got to talk about it. Do you know that there are phrases that are now supposed to be off, I guess, out of the Webster Dictionary or out of our language? They want to remove the verbiage.
Well, I know a lot of social media platforms will censor certain words. You know, the AI, so it's computer, but a person is entering words that they as a company are like, we're not gonna, and we're
Utilize
not gonna allow, exactly, we're not gonna allow this, that, or whatever to spread through our platform. So it could be words like, you know, rape, or gay, or say like black, or something like that. And so when you make a post or you make a video and it has those words in it that are censored, your comment is going to instantly be blocked or taken down, or your post will be taken down. And then I know that some content creators, if you have so many times where that happens, or if you get X number of complaints, they'll just take down your entire page. So that's what I'm familiar with as far as like certain words that are like, or being scrubbed from social media. And I know that when you deal with like fixers and stuff, and they have something that a piece of information about themselves that's gone viral, like on the internet, you can pay companies like tech companies to come and scrub the internet and remove all proof of video, document, or whatever that you want removed from the internet.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. That's okay because it's personal. So let's just like all the social platforms, somebody owns it. So that's their personal investment and their choice. They're able to do whatever they want to do. But words like mom and dad, I should have kept that one for last. You want to remove mom and dad out of like the schools and on the paperwork.
That's already happened.
Yeah. I know it has, but that's why we're discussing this.
Yeah.
To make somebody else comfortable. So you want to remove, you want to stop saying mom and dad because some people have two dads or two moms.
Right. Or birthing people. I find that particularly offensive.
That is offensive to me, who birthed a child. Like I'm a machine.
Right. Birthing people. And I felt like the way it was explained that I read about it makes sense. Where basically it was to designate biological women, and so that trans women couldn't be like, I'm a woman and it includes me. And that's why they had to say, and I feel like it's like a legality insurance claim type thing where it's like, no.
Crazy. Here, mom and dad, we know a male and a female, those are the two main ingredients to reproduction, the natural way.
Right.
Okay. And even if it's not the natural way, you still need a mom and a dad.
Right.
Why are we removing these words to make somebody else more comfortable? I'm not done. I'm not done. You know, you make a decision. It's like, okay, let's erase that. That doesn't exist anymore. No, let's add on. Mom, dad, parent is a good one though, because that
guardian,
guardian, mom, dad, because you feel bad. And I was watching the Dr. Phil show, and this lady was on there. She was like, "Well, my child has two moms, so I don't want my child to feel this way."
You made your child feel that way.
Okay, now wait. All right. So here's the next one: brainstorm. That's another one. They don't want to brainstorm. Well, we know brainstorming. That's what.
Yeah,
you grew up with it, you know, like, okay, well, we're going to write this paper, or even us having this dialogue right here.
Right.
Brainstorming, we're just discussing it, like, okay, tell me your views, I'll tell you mine. Well, people who have been injured and have a brain injury may be offended by that word. Did anybody come out and say they had, like, come on?
Right. If there was like a whole like little organization that started to support people with brain injuries, and that was a reoccurring theme, I'd be like, okay. But I have yet to hear that.
Yeah, that's girl, I'm about to get you. Okay. Master bedroom.
Oh yeah. I've heard of that one. Yeah, I've definitely heard that one. And what does it mean?
It?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but like,
Is it
what
offensive?
is the word? What is the word? I mean, when you get the historical context of it, yeah, it's kind of like, okay. But then I feel like because I do live in a century home, like I'm like, well, I'm the master now.
Okay, showed up.
Okay,
Who's the master? Okay,
I'm the master.
I'm here. You know.
So, but I forgot.
In real estate, they were talking about removing that, so they call it the primary.
Right. Yeah.
So they're using terms like the primary
or the owner. I like that. I like that better, like the owner suite instead of the master suite. You know, or yeah. So I think it's
wasn't the owner considered the master?
Right. But
are we
you know what? It's
the whole word master?
I guess so, but I feel like there's less historical weight to owner than to master. So, and unless you're just thinking master as a verb,
that's me. You know what I mean? I mean, okay, that's where it happened. So do we not say land? Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, do we just remove ownership? The word owner?
No, I think that. I mean, you definitely can't. I think it's okay. It's fine. I'm okay with that change. I don't think it's a big deal. And I have a degree in design interiors, by the way. So,
so what do you say? Is it what is it? Is it?
I would probably say master suite, but I would have no problem changing it to owner suite. I feel like that's kind of
or primary, the first bedroom.
Or primary, exactly, like the primary. I don't know. Primary doesn't sound.
That's number one.
Sounds yes. Primary sounds like number one, but I kind of just don't. I guess I don't know, because when I think of primary, I think of like number one, but not like you're special,
not elitist.
Right. When I feel like
when they go back to the master bedroom.
but just to be like to signify, okay, the specialness. I feel like primary is not as special as owner as far as like a word, as far as a title on the blueprint.
So are you looking at primary as like elementary, like primary,
right, or like just numerical? It doesn't have the social status indication the way that.
Okay, so it goes from here to here.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I like owner better than primary.
Okay. All right. Powwow.
Okay. Yeah.
Powwow.
Yeah. I mean, if that demographic of people find it offensive, then I'm like, okay, don't say that no more. It's cool.
I would say individually, but like socially, just erase. You want to just scrub the diction?
Well, I would say, what is it called? I forgot, but it's basically where you change the meaning of words. But if they wanted to,
they doing that all the changing the narrative of everything, like
exactly. So if they wanted to keep it to the actual meaning of the word powwow, then I can respect that. I don't think that's.
But that's where it came from. You just came over.
Right.
It's the same thing. Like
I wonder too if that's also low key trying to like erase history or rewrite history, as some people like to do.
And that's what I'm looking at. I ain't done yet. You ready? Lowest man on the totem pole.
Yeah.
Now we know exactly what that means. We just talked about it with the primary,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But if you are that person, I mean, this is the truth. If you are that person, the lowest man on the totem pole, why is that offensive? You the lowest man on the totem pole. It is
the bottom, sir. But
that's that everyone gets a trophy. Everybody gets
right.
No, everybody gets a certificate of participation, but everybody don't get no trophy. You have to have a standard. Here's one: tone deaf. Tone deaf. How you feel about that one?
So offensive? What how is it offensive?
Deaf people. But you know me, I'm like, they can't hear us anyway. So
It can be
no,
written.
no, let's be real.
It can be written. But I feel like when I hear the phrase tone deaf, I think of like culturally, socially, not actual auditory abilities, not physiologically. So I think of it so like in social terms or conversationally, you're tone deaf. You're deaf to the tone of the conversation, not you physiologically cannot hear with your ears.
Okay, I'm tone deaf.
Oh, okay.
Singing.
Okay.
Girl,
Right.
I can't. I'll talk you to
Right.
death. But I probably shouldn't have said that one. But I talk you to death. But you don't want me to sing.
Right. And I feel like
karaoke and blow everybody's eardrum. I'm tone deaf. And I understand it. And it is exactly what's being said. So why is it offensive? Like that Beyonce song. Remember the spazzing?
Oh, right. Yeah.
So you adopt the word. Well, we know what spazzing is anyway.
Yeah.
And she used it. I thought it was in the correct content or context that it was in the song, but somebody is offended by it. So let me take that word out. I didn't know it was an offensive word, because when you're used to using words and jargon, that's what you do.
Right.
Ghetto is another one they want off. Now, come on now.
Ghetto is a word I use a lot. So
well, it sounds like your party was.
So I feel like, okay, so yeah, so at this point I've completely disassociated from that word. I don't feel like it's a reflection of Blackness, a reflection of me and my family. It's just a word, and if it don't apply, let it fly.
Now, and guess what? They don't want it to fly. They're trying to scrub it. Ghetto, the hood. We determined it's something different. Acting ghetto, acting hood. That is not a color.
Right, exactly.
It's not a color. And it's like, why would you? Clearly, you must feel like that's you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, my goodness. When Black women have over associated with the term baby mama. Like, excuse me. Baby mama can be any color. And no, that's not something that a term that is specific to Black women. And there's other words that Black people have become, and they're negative, of course, that Black people have become overly like aligned with. Like, that don't mean Black.
Okay. Like the B word.
Right.
You're my homegirl, but you can't call me a B. Some people are okay. They look at it as a term of endearment.
Right.
No, I'm not. And a baby mama, somebody introduced me as my ex-husband's baby mama.
Right. And it's like, no, that's not correct.
I checked that because I'll never be a baby mama. Okay.
Yeah.
I was, and I said, when they said it, they're like, oh, this is so-and-so's baby mama. I said ex-wife.
Right.
And she looked and she was like, that is a difference. I said, it is.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. I'm not okay with that. But it's up to us to accept it. And that's why I was like, these terms, why are they so offensive? Lame. Now we know what a lame is, right?
Right. Well, no. Socially. But there's like, you can actually be like medically or physiologically lame.
And that's why it's offensive to the handicap, because they're actually lame. But we're just using the words handicap. Right. You know what I mean? We're just actually like, oh, okay. And then we actually say what it is. Oh, that's a double amputee. Or we just actually say it. I don't think that the word lame, as it is in Webster's dictionary, is used in that way anymore. Go ahead.
I feel like the word lame, if I remember correctly, that population that it actually applies to. And that's why I feel like the word powwow and all that stuff, I'm not a part of that population. If that population is saying it's offensive, okay, I respect it. End of story. I'm not invested because it doesn't.
How about I won't use it with you?
Exactly. And so I feel like, if I remember correctly, the people that actually that word applies to them, they found the word offensive when it was being correctly used. Like, describing them as being lame. Like, no, refer to me as handicapped. No, refer to me as disabled, or and there was another one just recently, in like maybe the last 10, 15 years, where it's just like, it's like a whole sentence, and I can't even remember it. You know what I'm saying? How they make it more and more complicated. And I'm just like, okay, so if I remember correctly, using the word lame in the Webster dictionary, correct use is actually more offensive than using it socially. Like, you should not call a disabled person, oh, they're lame. That's a lame right
there. Right.
No, you are so disrespectful. Exactly. So that's what
But we could call each other. We'd be like, that's lame.
Right.
Yeah, we'd be like, oh, that's lame.
Right.
That's right. You know?
Right. But yeah, but if you called, I would feel like in today's modern time, if you called a disabled person lame, they'd be like, you're getting canceled real quick.
Bro, that rolling with picket signs.
Right. Exactly. So I think it's actually offensive right now to use the word lame in its correct term, you know, in its by its actual definition. Yeah.
Okay. Blindsided. What do you think, Nick? Blindsided, is that offensive? Or do you see how it can be?
What's the alternative?
I don't see how it can be, because I mean, you can be blindsided by something. It's like something that you didn't see coming. Now, hopefully it's not offensive to a blind person that actually can't see, but if it's like you don't see something coming, then you're blindsided by it. Like,
you hear me?
What?
They won't see it.
Oh God.
You know what?
But so
Father, forgive her.
It means exactly what it's saying.
Right.
Blindsided, so it's used in the proper context. Like,
right.
I don't understand why. I can't understand that. But I'm not blind.
Right.
But for somebody to use that phrase, it was a phrase, and then now, like, God forbid, you know, something happened. If I become blind, would I be offended by blindsided? No, I will know exactly what you mean. You didn't see it coming. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, they played you like that. Yeah, you know that. You know what I'm saying? So it's used in the proper context. So I don't understand why it has to be removed. Grandfathered in.
How is that offensive?
Yeah, a lot of companies use that. Like certain services that you have that are no longer available for new customers, but you have it, so it's grandfathered in.
All right, listening audience, if you want in on this conversation, feel free to do so. The phone number here is 619-902-2287, 619-902-2287. And for the viewers, it is going across the bottom of the screen. And you can text if you don't want, you know, your name plastered out there. Listen, grandfather in, they say that it's offensive because it goes all the way back to slavery, where, air quotes for the listening audience, where the white man allow his people to come in. So they grandfather, right. Now here's the thing.
Come into where?
Come into like a job. But watch this. So I said, that's called nepotism.
Or racism.
No, how is it racist?
If you're hiring someone, you're in a position of, you're in a hiring position, and you hire someone just because they're the same race as you.
No, I didn't say race. I said family members.
Family members. Oh, yeah, exactly. That's nepotism.
Right. And so that's what I said. I was like, that's not offensive. I said, because grandfathered in is, you've been working here. They look at it as, and I said, you mean like favoritism? Because I was trying to understand that.
Right. Okay, well, but you know what?
But if you were dedicated and you were there, okay, now we have these new. All right, here you go. Good example. Computers now. Computers wasn't a thing like when I was first working. You know, you had a few computers, but it wasn't like everybody needs to know these programs.
Right.
So do you fire the lady that been working there for 30 years or 25 years because they can't catch on to this new program, this software that you introduced? Mm-hmm. No, but on the application, it says you have to know A, B, C, and D. That person will be grandfathered in. I don't see where it's offensive. You want her to get out so you can, to make space for you. Like,
so what they're saying is that the actual term grandfather in originated in slavery, and it was how white people passed on their slave ownership to their relatives.
That's what the
Okay, well, I didn't know that, so I
it
learned
just
something
is.
new today.
I don't
And
know if
Right.
you learned it. We having a discussion. Look,
so
I don't know if you learned it because I'm still sitting there like that's nepotism. Like,
exactly. So I'm saying, so maybe what they're saying is instead of saying something that's grandfather, and you should say, oh, that's nepotism, if that's what you're discussing, because the origins, because that is the origin of that word, which I didn't, or term, I didn't know that.
but what's in that? But that's like this is the family business.
Uh-huh.
I'm passing it along.
Right.
Okay. Well, you don't have to have all the credentials. Yeah, I'm trying to understand that one. That one, that kind of like threw me. So that's why I'm like bringing it up so we can talk about
Well,
it.
I think it's a lot of words like that in the American culture because people still don't want to discuss how ingrained slavery is in American history. And I feel like just this discourse on the origin of American terminology and words reflects slavery was like the fabric of American society. And that's why it's everywhere in all of our words and words. And like, and when you look into the history of those words, it's like, oh yeah, that started in slavery. It's like, well, what didn't start in slavery? Jesus, you know. So yeah, I feel like that's the greater discussion.
All right. Master plan. They want to remove that phrase. They want it out of here.
That sounds, I think, a school shooter when I
Think of a master plan.
yeah, like he had his master plan on his
The
computer.
word master, but then master could be related to anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see where they, but then that's all in the mind of the person that is using it. Like if if you taking your mind back to slavery days for the master,
Yeah.
then I can see why they're talking about removing it. But like usually if you're talking about something like, oh, they thought of a master plan, like nobody with common sense will go back and be like, oh, you using this. Yeah.
Well, and I feel
This
like
cancel
also,
culture is just it's getting ridiculous because that's all it is. Cancel culture. They're starting to remove words that we've been using for cancel culture. It's ridiculous. Come on, y'all. Like, are we that soft now?
You know what I think of when I hear master plan?
a song.
Paid in full. Eric B. and Rakim thinking of a master plan.
Yes.
That's what I think of. I ain't offended. I'm like, well,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm thinking paid in full,
Exactly. Like now y'all want to pull words like for what?
And now back to the mom and dad, the
Okay.
removing of the mom and dad word. And the lady that I said was on Dr. Phil that felt like she didn't want her child to be separated or feel indifferent. Well, what about the child who has a mom and a dad? You want that child to feel like they're different? You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's okay for everybody else to feel different, but I don't want my child to feel different. So on the paper, don't say, when you're like, make sure your mom or your dad sign the paper. What about the mom and the dad and the dad? And removing those words to me is an issue. I think we need more communication, not less. And if you're going to change something, add on. Kind of like how I felt with different styles, different, gangs, different flags. Like when you have, and here's the thing, have your different flag, but why take something that is and make it yours? Like I never forget, I always used to wear the bandanas back in the day. I wore this bandana. Then, you had the gangs. I'm not going to say the gangs, but you had the different gangs and certain color bandanas. Now, this is a new thing. They adopted what was already. So now I can't wear these color bandanas because, dude, I never forget. I was on the corner of Hillman and Indianola, dude, throwing up signs. I was like, huh? I had no idea. I'm trying to be fly. You know what I'm saying? I'm matching head to toe. Like, wait, what? And then I realized how serious it was. I was like, oh, wait, what? I can't even wear this anymore. So now I can't do this, i.e., and I love everybody. My LGBTQTIA, I think, is that it? Or LGBTQ?
QIA.
I said TIA.
Yeah, QIA.
You know when we're talking about TIA, y'all know we got our own initials like, oh, the stroke. You know what I'm saying? But the flag is a rainbow flag. I love the rainbow. That was from the beginning of times.
Right. And then they just took over it.
And this is what this means. It's like, okay, so I can't wear like Care Bears. You know what I'm saying? I can't wear the rainbow. Rainbow was happy to me. So I can't wear it without you thinking this. But I wear it though. I do what I want to do. This is you can think
Thank
what you
you.
want to think.
Thank you.
I like rainbows. And it doesn't mean that. And that's where I have an issue even with these phrases. Why are we omitting it? Just add on. We need more communication. Add on.
And I feel like I mean maybe like the whole omission effort is like again to bring attention to America's history because
or
those words
like
yeah, or exactly, or erase it. That would be that would be, conspiracy theory. Like, no, they're trying to erase history of what was and how pervasive, slavery was in American history and how it touched on everything in American culture. So they're trying to
aren't they trying to get rid of that out of school, teaching that in schools
exactly,
or certain things in schools? Why? These kids need to know.
Yeah.
They need to know.
I'll tell you why. The old adage, if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it.
Yep.
So, you get blindsided.
Mm-hmm.
You come back, you're like, oh, wait, what? Oh, wait a minute, hold on. You're not going to repeat. If you know already that this has happened, what's the chances of you going down that rabbit hole again? Like, I ain't going to go that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, you're not going to trick me. That might be another one.
Next, they'll be trying to remove the phrase, I'm not my ancestors.
Now, that's when we remember, then they'll have to look up and be like, what is ancestors? Oh, what happened then? So
right, exactly. They're probably going to try to remove that next. Yeah. I need racists to know I'm not my ancestors.
Oh, there you go. You heard it.
Good morning.
There you go. Yeah, good morning. Anxiety disorder. Let's talk about it. Do you know that they are now screening children as young as 3 years old for anxiety disorder?
That's ridiculous. Children are children. Stop pumping medicine in these babies. It's about as bad as the doggone ADD and ADHD. Listen, these children are children. Like, they're being kids.
Speaking of that, look, this is off a little bit, but speaking of the ADHD, Adderall they got like a shortage in it, so they're trying to
I saw about that.
Have doctors prescribe something different, so they're trying to get rid of that as well. And I'm gonna say this because I have to, because that's just who I am. You got to listen, people who are on Adderall and you want to just get a mail in because your pharmacy don't hold it or are no longer holding it. Some of them, not all of them, are carrying it. Let me say this. This is just me. I will not order medication, especially that comes in a capsule. I'm not ordering it from somewhere else. Now you
mean out of the country or a different place?
Out of the country, because you don't know what can be put in it. It's a capsule. Open up, boom. You hope everything is fine and you pray everything is fine, but I'm just that person. So I'm not telling you what to do, but for me, I'm not. I'm not. Somebody needs to be held accountable. And if you order it, you got to look at that fine print and you don't know where it's coming from. I mean, it could be coming from, I was about to say somebody's name, but I don't want to mess that up. Look, I don't want to start no trouble.
Right.
It could come from Jacqueline, and I'm using air quotes. That's just the name. Jane Doe, and in her kitchen. And she's like, oh, I'm going to make this. This will do this. This is a stimulant, and that's what I'll do. And I'll mail it. People, be careful. And this whole fentanyl epidemic is off the chain, and you don't know if people are putting that in there and trying to kill people, because we remember we covered the story with the guy who worked in the hospital. Anesthesiologist was putting stuff in the IV bags and killing, causing them to have heart attacks and that medicine, the IV bags, that medication was being distributed to different hospitals, and it caused people to die. So you just got to watch and you got to pray. But I'm going to tell you, the Adderall, look, speaking of that ADHD, just watch ordering. I would say for your own safety. Make sure it's from a legitimate spot. Now, back to this anxiety as early as 3 years old. We all suffer from, and we fear the unknown. Mm-hmm. First day of school. How many people, I don't care, you went to school every year. The first day of school, anxiety set in. Mm-hmm. You said, look, I set my outfit out. I'm a clothes person. Set my outfit out. I was like, I'm about to kill it up. They probably about to take that off too. I'm about to kill it with this outfit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Wait, like what? Anxiety, you're anxious. Before production, you be like, oh, I gotta pee. Like right before you go on stage.
Right.
So I'm like, 3 years old. How do you assess a 3-year-old for anxiety? Like,
you're a 3-year-old.
I don't know about a 3 years old. Maybe I feel like just like we were talking about the Run rapper's baby mama, and people were calling out what they observed in her live video with her 3-year-old child. I do feel like if you're around children, you work with children, you'll notice things about children, and you'll notice when a child's doing something that's out of the ordinary or has a different pattern of behavior that you're used to normally seeing. And I think bringing more mental health and mental health awareness into our schools and with our younger people.
But that's when you specialize in growth and development.
Right. And so I would think in the schools, if you're an educator and you see something that you think is kind of odd, unusual, an anomaly, having the resources available to report it and get that child additional help, or just inquiry if you're concerned about something that may or may not be happening in the home. I think that's a good thing, so I look at it as just more resources available to children who may need it.
3.
I feel like a lot of stuff, like the real stuff, the diagnosable stuff, you'll start observing patterns pretty early, like social patterns very early in that child.
Well, they would have had me all. If my mother, listen, I'm telling you, if my mother had me evaluated, they probably would have had me like I got some mental health issues. I'm just not doing it. Oh, she's isolated. And this was shared with me from my family members, and my mother, she said the same thing. She was like, when you were done playing with people, you just went away off to yourself. I still do that. Like if I'm not feeling the energy, I'm out. But that's normal for me. That don't mean I have a mental issue where, oh, she's a sociopath. Look at her. Or, oh boy, look at what she's off to herself. Then there's children over there. She's not interacting. What's going to happen to her? I think we're going a little too far. And at 3 years old, I'm with Nick. At 3, they're learning their personality.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what? They did say, what age is that? Is that by 2 they'll have their personality? And now I'm sitting there thinking like, well, she learned my personality because she said when I was younger, I used to be like, I'm out. Without saying it, I'm out, and I still do it.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like with anxiety, that's more. So anxiety is like, I was actually just watching some videos about anxiety versus stress. So stress is external and you're aware of its source, where anxiety is internal and you're unaware of its source.
That's why I fear the unknown. That's why, right. And that's the way to
Exactly. And then like anxiety is something that carries on. I think it's persistent and strong for over 2 weeks. So I mean, I'm not saying it's just
a 3-year-old.
Right. No, and that's for like older kids,
Yeah, and I get that. All right, let's do this. And I think like counselors, let me say that. Yeah, counselors, I think they do need to be available for the school-age children. But this is what I see more so. I see more stresses in our youth now. That's what I see. Anxiety and certain things can trigger it. certain things can trigger it, but I see more stress in the youth versus like anxiety. And that's just my thoughts. Mental health in the Black church. Do you think the Black church contributes to mental health issues in our community?
Positively or negatively?
Either way.
Yes.
Let's shop talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think in some ways the Black church positively contributes to mental health as like I don't want to say something offensive, but like
just talk, girl.
Self-medicating kind of thing. That's not the most accurate phrase, but that's kind of what's coming to my head. But then I feel like it more contributes often to negative contribution to mental health in the Black community, as in like a hindrance, a distraction, stumbling block.
Okay.
So it's not always all bad, but I feel like it's more bad than good contribution.
Okay, Nick, your thoughts?
I don't know about that one. I mean, why would anybody think that it contributes to it?
I'll tell you why. I know it contributes to some anxiety for me. I go to church. Listen here, don't go to no church with no Black church with no gum in your mouth. Tap your, Oh, give it here.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, just always get that.
As a child. And so you got that. You have a lot of people, and see, the church is a place for the sick. It's a hospital for the sick. Here's where the issue is, and I do think I think it does. It depends on how you look at it. You have a lot of people that are in church, and we hold church to a higher standard. And this is where the good people is, because God is good. And this is where everything is supposed to be perfect. You want to live righteous. But then you see the same people out in the street not living righteous. So that's your example. And that's where the problem is at. And as a child, you don't understand that, oh, that's just people going to the church, or that's the church is a hospital for for sick people. You don't understand that as a child. But when you sit there and you see somebody praising the Lord and they doing their thing, and then you see them out and they're rude and they're mean. I saw somebody, I had that experience. I saw him at a store, and I was really shocked because I saw this lady and she was an usher. So, all those boards are in different ministries. And I understand you want to put people in these ministries, get in a ministry, get active, but you have to be right, because that's leadership. And we are looking to them. And that lady cussed the girl out in the line. I was so devastated. And it was in the checkout line. The lady went off. And I seen her every Sunday. Good morning. Welcome to, and I'm not going to say, that, welcome to Bible Church of God who came back on the third day. It'd be like a long phrase. You're like, what?
It's a whole sentence.
It's a whole sentence, right? So, and just so pleasant. And then you see her. I seen her out in public, and she straight up dogged this lady and was like cursing her out. I was offended, and I felt bad because I held her to a higher standard. So, and why does that tie in with mental health? Because you start getting confused. You'll start getting confused. Like, is this the way people think? Is this the way people believe? Or am I not good enough? Because the church seems to judge you so much, which could cause an issue. Oh, I can't do this because I'm not this way. Or, you know what I'm saying? Oh, they're going to talk about me like a dog, and I have to be this way. And you already have your insecurities. And most of the time, and this is just me, because we all have mental health, mental illness can come from lots of things. But if you tear down that self-esteem and telling somebody they're not worthy. I went to one church, the lady asked me, I could win in pants. This was before pants was in, I was like pregnant. And this place, they don't wear pants. And she asked me, she said, she handed me actually a bag of skirts. Now, yeah, Nick, for the listening audience, y'all know Nick swung her head around, head on the swivel. So here's the deal. Was she being helpful? She didn't know me. Or was she being ignorant?
Ignorant.
Okay. Now watch this. It's all in the perception of the receiver. So my thoughts growing up in the church, I said she was trying to be helpful. However, I said, no, thank you. Could her delivery have been different? Yes, no, talk to me. It's a talk show.
I mean, yeah. Sorry. You sound like you're still going, but no, I think that as someone who I'm very aware that my delivery be off, but I know my intentions are good, so I can definitely relate to that. But when it comes to church, I feel like truly, as a Christian, as a believer, you're supposed to be Christ-like, and when you're, and this is the thing people don't discuss in church either, is that oftentimes, as you described, you have people coming together from different backgrounds. And specifically, it's people who are maybe more established, more rooted in the church, more financially stable, more resources, more religious, more conservative. And then you've got other people coming into the church that are inexperienced, they have less money, they have less resources, they're not as religious, they're not as conservative. So how do these two different people come together cohesively and not offend, belittle, insult, bring down each other?
Exactly. It's a social gathering,
right? It's a social gathering, and so it's
watch this. That's why I took it. I didn't get offended by it. Because I said she saw a need and she wanted to help. If her intent was something different, I don't know. But I looked at it. I said, I have pants on and I seen it. And I said, no, thank you. Yeah. Some will look at it and be like, how you just going to give me? I got on what I want to have on. I came in here this way. Now, why did I wear that? Because I was more comfortable. I think I was like 9 months pregnant too.
Right.
And I couldn't fit anything. But I was a visitor. So should she change her delivery because I didn't get offended, but somebody else like you or Nick would have been like, hold up, this is what I'm wearing. Get offended when that wasn't her intent. And here's the thing with intentions. Intentions aren't verbalized. It's an action. So it's how you know what I mean? How you present it. And why is everything with a bow? She might be a direct person. Her personality may be just A-type, like, here you go. And and that's how I looked at it. I said, she saw a need and she was like, here's a bag of skirts. Like, maybe this young lady don't have it, but don't know what church I go to because I was a visitor. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But still, we don't know the intent of an individual.
And I feel like as far as putting the bow on stuff, I think that's a part of, how to make friends and get along with people. Like, all you had to do was ask, like, would you like some skirts? I have this bag. Would you like this? And you could have declined and not just giving it to you, because you don't know how somebody will receive it. And I feel like if you are a believer, if you are the part of the church, you are supposed to be welcoming people, strangers, into the church. Is it welcoming to potentially offend someone?
Guess what?
And you shouldn't be like, I don't care if you're offended because I know that this is right. No.
I think it was the delivery. Physical delivery. It wasn't a garbage bag, a black garbage bag.
That's the way you made it sound.
Yeah, she put it. It was like, bam, hit me over the head with a garbage bag. Hit me a bag of skirts. You know what I mean? Give it to me in a gift bag. I probably would have took it and be like, oh, okay, I know somebody who could use this. Yeah. Delivery is everything, verbally and physically. And yeah, it was in a Glad. I'm just saying Glad.
That's what I'm saying. It's because, and I feel like also I'm a secondhand shopper. And there is a whole layer culture around that, around gift giving, especially if it's a secondhand item. So I definitely understand that. No, you don't just give something to somebody and not even ask them if they want it or if they're comfortable with it or whatever. Yeah, it was definitely no.
Nope.
So yeah.
So it was given bad intentions. It was given
very bad. Or arrogant. and we talk about that a lot with Christians and people in the church being arrogant, making us up. You don't know what I need. You don't know what I'm comfortable with. You don't know what my situation is, and you just giving. No, like I said, ask, have some dialogue, be respectful, courteous, and like I said, be welcoming. How do you treat someone that you don't know? Not going off assumptions because you don't know their background.
Now, I like that. How do you treat someone that you don't know? So if you have an attitude problem, don't come into church joining the ministry unless you joining, like, I don't know, the no, because it'll be bad. I'll say the book ministry. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to, I think classes need to be taught, like how to treat people.
Definitely.
Social interaction, those type of things. Instead of hurry up, get into church, get busy. Well, you're missing the message. Maybe you need to be spiritually fed. That's why I don't get into ministries. Let me sit in the congregation because I know I'm a work in progress and I need to hear the word. Okay. So let me go ahead and get that. I don't want to be distracted by working.
Right.
That's why I won't be a nurse in the church either. I won't be a nurse in the church. It's a whole bunch of meetings. I got my plate is already full. I no lie. My plate is full. And it's like, okay, now if there's an actual need and somebody is really in distress, I'll kick in, but I don't need to wear the white shoes and it got to be polished. Like I got to go through the whole white glove test. Like, no, I don't want to do that. That's anxiety. That's added stress. I ain't saying go in there any type of way. And I say ain't. I'm not saying go in there any type of way because uniform is important. How you dress is how you'll be addressed.
Yeah, amen.
Okay, so I get that part of it. But if you have the time, but to force somebody into to jump in a ministry, that's a lot because you are asking for their time and time we can't get back. Let me just join the church. Let me pay my tithes. If I don't have tithes this month, I'm saying I'm keeping it 100. Let me give my offering. Let me come in and out. Let me get what I need and leave. Now, I'm the type, I always sit in the balcony. I sit in the balcony. Why? Because I'm easily distracted. And I know that about me. I'm easily distracted. I don't want to know that your child is hungry. I don't want to know that your husband beat you at home. I don't want to know that you putting rat poison in your husband's food. I don't want to know any of that. That's why if somebody, you see me at church, I'm like, how bye? I'm passing.
Yeah.
My sister, she know everybody. She's like, you remember that was a church? Oh yeah, they look familiar. I was just not that person. I ain't gonna lie to you. I used to be like, oh, let me go on here, roll up in here so I can go to skating tonight. That was me. Like, if you ain't go to church on Sunday, you won't go on skating. So I'll be like, let me roll up in here, but I was in and out. And that was the reason, because I know that my thoughts would be, oh, I wonder if they have food. Oh, that'll get me. And Nick, you know me, that'll get me. I'll be like, oh, wait, you need some here. Here, go buy something. You know what I mean? Go get what you need. Oh, she getting beat up every day. And then they tell you the sad story, or her husband beat her every day, but she come to church because she needs that help. But you have those other people in the congregation that's yippity yapping because I should never know that she getting beat at home. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's where a lot of people, and this is just me, where you be like, I don't even want to even associate with you. But I sit in the balcony. All I see is the pastor. I don't even see nobody down there. And then they said, nobody can sit in the balcony. That's what they said. So guess what I did? I was like, oh, you can't be in the balcony. But as adults, we know us. And there's a reason. And instead of people saying, no, you can't do that, this is what we're doing. I'm not disrupting anybody. I just want to be by myself during this time. So when they told me that, guess what I did?
What?
Quit the church.
Well, I mean, I understand it, but I do feel like a big part of being a Christian is gathering with other believers.
After, but if you be it's like sitting in the front of the class during school. You don't want to be by the class clown, then you miss the lesson.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to know what's going on in your life unless I actually ask and have time to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nick, I'll be like, I don't want to, because it'll distract me.
Right. But I feel like that, to me, that is a physiological example of when people like get into like the teleministries and they're all in the Bible, they're studying the Bible at home, they're watching the ministry, they're mailing in their tithe. But the reality is, physically, you are isolated and you are receiving the word through this little narrow portal of the television, and you're not really fully functioning as a Christian or as God called us to do, because God did instruct believers to go spread the word and spread the good news. So you're not doing that if you're like refusing to be around other Christians, or refusing to be around non-believers even, and you don't even want to share your testimony. Like, I get it, but I do feel like there is a level of obligation if you're a believer to do certain, we're not supposed to practice our faith in isolation. That's how I look at it.
And that's good. Go ahead. What you got, Nick? What's your thoughts?
Hmm.
You don't have nothing?
Not right now. My mind is just everywhere. But I am like Amber stated, like you're actually. I know a lot of people that will stay home for whatever their reason is and don't want to go into the church because they say of a lot of hypocrites and everything. So they will watch, they'll worship at home, watch services at home. That to me, I regardless of the hypocrites or not, I'm going for the word. I'm going because I'm being obedient. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm like you though. When you go to church, you really do need to learn to block other things out and just focus on getting that word. Period. Just it's more about your mental stability and learning how to block other things, negativity, because that's still to me negativity. Block out the negativity, and you're supposed to just focus on getting that word, period, point blank. I mean, and you don't have to be mean about it, right? You don't have to be mean about it. Just I'm sorry, I'm here to get the word. You don't want to, now if you want to congregate afterwards, that's fine. Or if you want to leave afterwards, just hey, how you doing, God bless you, keep going. But to me, yeah, like we just need to focus on what we're called to do, period. And the distractions, we just which I'm trying to learn, block all the distractions.
Well, here's the thing. There's a time and a place. If I'm there, if I'm there to do something, if I have a mission, but if you know me, I'm focused on what I'm focused on. I can compartmentalize easy. I'm like, okay, boom, we can have fun. Showtime, bam, let's go. And then when we're done,
afterwards, pick it
up and be good to go. But I mean, there are benefits to social interaction. Do I think social interaction is helpful? Yes. And here's the thing with staying at home. I'm an in-class learner. Like, I can't do online classes because I get distracted. I'm at the house, I'm washing clothes, I'm doing all types of, everything else is like, okay, I got so much to do. I can do this and that. I have to be in person. It's important to be in person. I'm going to be honest with you. It's important to be in person because why? And hug one another because it builds your immune system. I'm going to tell you. It builds, it builds character. You can understand, the other person, other participant. You can see the nonverbal understandings, you know what I mean, to see what's going on. And if you're anything like me, it's easier to convince people when you're face to face versus like us right now.
Yep.
Are you buying what I'm selling? Yeah. But and team participation is good. Bible study, I'll go, but that doesn't mean like I'm there with the people, Amber. So I don't want you to think I'm just like at the house, like boom. I'm there with the people, but I'm by myself. Like I see y'all, we smile, we laugh. That's your nonverbal communication, which is important. But I don't want to be up underneath you. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. No, I totally understand what you're saying. I do want to touch on what Nick was talking about, and you brought it up already about the hypocrisy within the Black church. And my advice to people is, this is from my own personal experience, is when you start to really get into that introspection and self-reflection and personal accountability, you'll realize, wait, I'm a hypocrite too. Like we're all imperfect beings. And like you said, the church is like the hospital for the soul. So when people are like, oh, these people, they're fake and they're hypocrites and they're inconsistent, well, that's because they're human. And if you look at yourself, you and your own history and your own choices, you're going to realize, wow, I've made poor decisions too, and I'm less than perfect. And there's some things that I hope people, that's not the first thing they think about when they think of me. Does that mean you shouldn't go to church then because you have a history, because you've made some poor decisions, because you've had some embarrassing moments? No, but you're growing as a person, and the reality is you're going to make more mistakes. So if you can give yourself that leeway and grace to say, okay, I messed up or whatever, or I did that, but I still know I'm a good person, then you should be able to give that same grace to people in the church. They're trying just like you're trying. And you wake up one day and you're doing real good, and then the next day you ain't being too godly.
Here's the thing. It says, take your burdens to the Lord. Lay your problems at the altar, not to somebody else in the church, because they telling everybody, and that's where the issue is. It's like if you don't tell them, they don't know.
Yes.
So with that being said, that's why I do what I do, me personally. The socializing, hey, how you doing after? But I don't want to kick it with my people at the church.
And that's okay.
I want to kick it with the people I work with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's separate. We have different type of relationships. Like, and if you get to like where work and then we become real cool, there you go. But I'm just not going to work asking all your business to tell somebody else. Because that's exactly what it is. Y'all think I'm playing? I had somebody do that. And this is a good one right here. A good comment. I'm gonna read it for a listening audience. They pray over your prayers, and that's PREY. Thank you, Tiffany Carter. Yes. So you have people that are looking for the dirt. And I think that's what causes the mental issues where and the reason I say that is because there's not an effective coping tool.
Right.
Prayer. And it's like, okay, you're at the church and you're like, okay, prayer. They're praying, for me. And you're going there like, okay, I don't know how to cope, but I'm dealing with this. Like you were saying, some people use different things to cope. Go to church. Some people like on stuff. People are trying to get clean. All that good stuff with everything that's going on with the addiction issue. But if you go there and the people that you're there for help, but the people that are directly connected with you are making you feel worse than the person on the street, why? Why go?
Well, I think, okay, so this is actually a personal experience. I have brought a relative to church, and during prayer, they do it's a real small church. They would say, raise up your prayer concerns. What do you want to add on the prayer list? And they said their parent, because they're a drug addict, right? And this church was a old school Methodist church, so it was very somber. And the prayer time, you'd be like, oh, people will start shouting out who they wanted to pray for, and it'd be really heavy stuff like pray for such and such because they just had a miscarriage, and
that's what they shout out.
Keep such and such in prayers. They got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Keep such and such in prayer because their mother just died. I mean, it was heavy.
That is heavy. Look, I'm sitting
heavy. Right, exactly. And so my person that I brought with me said, And you just shout it out, you shout their names out and why, and they said, you know, you gotta say why they need prayer, because so that the prayers can be more effective, because we know what we're praying about. And so it said, oh, please pray for my parent because they're a drug addict. Right. And I'm thinking everything is fine because people out here putting all kinds of crazy stuff on the prayer list. Then next thing I know, we get home and another relative has said, oh, their other parent is on drugs and they didn't know about that and what's going on and do. And it's like, you got that information during the prayer call. You are, first of all, you're talking about the wrong parent. And secondly, you're dead wrong. Oh my goodness. I was about to go. That was about to be some family drama because I was about to go all the way in. All the way in. Like, you trifling. Like, you dead wrong. You know, and people do that. But you know, you gotta know why you're there.
And that's sad. And see, I couldn't go to that church because I would leave there heavy. I'd be like, I'd be bent over. They're like, oh, look at Big Ma humped over, all the stress, and she's carrying the weight of the world. You know what I mean?
Right, but that's not the intention. You know, it's you supposed to, include those people in your prayers, and that's a good example of giving it to God, because you can't do nothing. You don't even know them, but you say, you know, they shared that at the prayer. Man, I hope it gets better for them, Lord, and keep it pushing, because there ain't nothing else you can do.
And you're right. Would you say that? You were getting ready to say something?
You got to just keep it pushing. Like, everything isn't for everybody. If you're asking for prayer, you don't need to know. They don't need to know the ins and outs and why. And I know a lot of people want to know, well, I ain't going to pray for nobody unless I know why, what I'm praying for. No, just pray, period. You don't have to know what you're praying for. Just know that person needs prayer, period.
Now I like that.
And pray for them, like you said, not pray on them.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. Yeah, be specific in your prayer. But I do see, like on social media, they'll say, pray for me. Don't ask no questions. Here I am with that. I don't know what you're praying for, because you could be praying for somebody else's husband, something like that, and all of us, 3 or more, 2 or more, 3 or more, and you know, in agreement. No, see, I'm that person. Pray for their need. When you actually know the person, you be like, okay. But when somebody puts that, don't ask no questions, I'm like, well, you go ahead. You know your situation. Pray for yourself, and that'll be better. You know, get your own. You got a direct line. Go ahead. What you got, Amber D?
And in addition to that, you know, Sierra's husband prayer, you know, because in romantic sense, like if people are praying for a spouse or a partner, you know, she encouraged, and I've been encouraged through ministry, like when I've sat up under pastors and they talk about, you know, wanting your godly spouse or whatever, be specific. You suppose, at least the way I have always heard it in ministry is, no, your prayers should be specific, including your spouse. Like, God, just send me a husband. Well, all you ask for is, I sent you one, you know. So be
I like that. Watch this. God send me a husband. Be specific. If God is sending you a husband, that means he's already married.
First of all, God ain't sending nobody else's husband.
Right.
Let's be clear with that one. He's not going to send you anybody else's husband. That is not of God. That is the devil right there. Period. Point blank. We find that in the name of Jesus. Right. You don't ask for nobody else's husband. Ask for your own.
No, listen. That's why you got to be specific. So if you pray, Lord, send me a husband is already married. Send me a man that will potentially be my husband. And I had to give that example of being specific. That's specific.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a little play on words. But
I'm just saying, be specific in your prayers.
Right. So yeah.
When you find out he married, oh, I did ask for a husband. So you know.
But you know what? A lot of these heifers do pray for somebody else's husband.
Okay. And so yeah, I definitely think it's if someone is asking for prayer, is asking you to pray for them, it's totally acceptable, and it does amplify the prayer if you know what you're praying for, you know. Yeah, I think it's important to be specific, but that was like literally happened to me in real life. And it worked out. It was an elderly person, and it goes back to old people. Excuse me if I'm offending anyone, or church elders. They're just people, and they have just as many shortcomings as a young person, and they have just as much baggage and issues and personality flaws as the next person.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm like, we'll get that. All right, let's go with the same-sex marriage, raising children. We said we was going to talk about it. Raising a family. Same-sex marriage, raising a family. Let me put this out here. Issue this disclaimer. This is our opinions. It is not to be offensive, but it is our opinion. And I just got to put that out there. And here's what's interesting. What's offensive, let me say this. What's offensive to me is a listener saying they're offended. So to make sure you're comfortable, it makes I'm supposed to be uncomfortable.
Boom.
Okay. So let's go. All right, what's your thoughts on same-sex marriage, raising children? And let's have a discussion, an adult discussion.
I I think it's okay. I think it really is a strong emphasis on it takes a village. Um and I think it's a dynamic that can work. I feel like it's so easy to mess up kids. And so is it better than a heterosexual couple raising children? Not necessarily, because what if that couple is really toxic and abusive and dysfunctional, you know? But I genuinely believe that children need positive, healthy, feminine and masculine representation in their childhood. They need the feminine energy and they also need the masculine energy. And I feel like it's a complete disservice to children to sit here and say, oh, they don't need a daddy yet, or they can be fine without a daddy. This is more of the Black community. Like, no, your children, they do need a healthy, good masculine man in their life. And children do need a good, healthy, feminine, maternal figure in their life. Children need both. So maybe they're not biological, but or maybe they're not in the household, which is a step down, which is less than ideal, but it's better than nothing at all.
Okay. All right, Nick, what's your thoughts on
I
same
don't see a problem with it. I don't see a problem with it as long as they're being taught and let them know that, as far as, because children are very impressionable, like you said, and they see two mommies being raised by two mommies and or two daddies. That's not the only way to go. Don't try to steer them in your direction. You want to let them make their own choices, but let them know, like, teach them early, because we're at that age now where now, more children are coming out. I'm still kind of confused on that one because you got to let a child be a child. But anyway, but just don't be one sided on what you teach them. Like, you have to teach them everything, teach them of the world, let them, but they're still young and impressionable. Just let them know, listen, you're really not good, because children really don't know what they want until they become an adult. And a lot of times us adults still don't know what we want. So it's to me, I don't have a problem with it. Just make sure you're being fair on what you're teaching them all the way around.
Okay, I can respect that, especially with the being fair on what you teach them all around. Now, here's my thoughts. Can two same sex, not even just marriage, same sex couple raise a child. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm with Nick. You don't have to tell them the difference yet, because they're sometimes they're looking, that's their normal. Their norm is two dads at home or two moms. I have noticed with the people that I do know who are in same sex relationships raising children, I noticed that with the two women, there's one woman who is dressed like a man. And we had our conversation, and I said, okay, so clearly you see that that role needs to be seen in rearing that child. I think that we as adults tend to put too much on the children and give them too much information that is not necessary. As a child, I have to say, I didn't look at, oh, okay, well, if a man and a woman go into the bedroom, you knew, like if you played house, it was a mommy, a daddy, and if they went to bed, they just went to bed. As a child, I wasn't looking at, oh, they're getting ready to have sex, or their sexual organ. A boy has this, a girl has that. That's in my mind as a child. Okay, mommy and daddy is going to bed. They go into the same room. We know what happens. You go to sleep. All this extra stuff that's pushed on these younger children is ridiculous. And even telling them, okay, well, I'm going to sit you down. You're getting ready to go to school. I'm going to sit you down, and you'll see that it's different. You have a mommy and a mommy. Well, there are people who have a mommy and a daddy and have another mommy or another father or two dads and two moms, i.e., stepmom, stepdad. So I'm with you. Allow them to be a child, and differences are okay, because even with your peers in the classroom, there's going to be something different. But to just omit something that is going to make somebody else uncomfortable. So in order for you to be comfortable, other people have to be uncomfortable. That's unfair.
Very.
That's totally unfair. I was watching what is his name, Kamako show, and there was a guy on there, and his son is now a daughter, transgender, even with like Zaya, Dwayne Wade's daughter now. Dwayne Wade is okay. The mother, from what I read, but I haven't actually heard from the horse's mouth, but from what I read, she wasn't okay with that, because just what Nick was saying, children don't know yet. And even as adults, you don't know. And there's a phase. It's a fad, like with fashion. You got a fad. This is in style. Okay, now it's not. And what I notice is I feel like it's a fad. And to me,
it really is.
It's unfair for the people who really feel like, who are really like, okay, I was born in a different body, or I'm gay. You know what I mean? I'm attracted to the same sex. And then you have those jumping on the bandwagon like it's a fad.
Yep.
It's a style. And to me, that's disrespectful.
Very. And that's what it seems like it's been a lot of lately, is people just jumping on the bandwagon, because then 5-10 years down the line, now they're going to be back. And I know a couple people who did that. They jumped on the bandwagon and decided to try it out for a while, and then it didn't work for them, so they went back the other way. So like, but then if you tell them they're bisexual, they'll cuss you out. No, I'm not.
Well, I think that's why there's a distinction between like being bisexual and bi-curious.
And bi-curious, exactly.
And I think,
but even if you say bi-curious, they don't want to accept that label. But what were you doing for a couple years? Like,
right.
You were curious to see what it was. So it's like, it's a fad. And like you said, Mel, it's very disrespectful, because if you're gay, or if you're a lesbian, or even if you're bi, that's how you are, period. Own it, claim it. But it's just, you're gonna be that way all the time. It's just not for the time being because everybody else is doing it. And that's what it seems like, even with these children, because it's being pushed on these kids. And I'm sorry, but and somebody is probably going to stop pushing your sexuality choices on these children, i.e. these cartoons now, television shows show that it's like now it's being pushed on these kids. Let these kids, like, y'all don't get it. Let kids be kids. I mean, let them be kids. We can't keep pushing our agendas on these babies, because that's when you get a lot of screwed up. When they get older, they get screwed up. They're in therapy or they're confused and things are going on. They're acting out and you don't know why. Stop. We need to stop as adults pushing our agenda on it. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Because like it's a fad. To me, it's a fad. I'm sorry. It's a phase. It's a fad that everybody going through all of a sudden. Like, keep your, if you're proud, I'm not mad at you. Of course, be that. But like, we don't need to know everything. We don't need to know blah blah blah, play by play, none of that.
Well, I didn't know who you were sleeping with. I ain't got interested. Go ahead, Amber. Do you have the fight?
I was going to add that this is a good example of, like you were saying, Mel, let's add to the phrase, to the terms, like let's add more, not take away. And I think this is a great example of, the issue, and it's clarified by words of being bisexual versus being bi-curious. A curiosity is something you're just exploring. You're not sure how you feel. You don't even really know what it is. That's why you're curious. You want to find out, right? And so to say, okay, you're not bisexual, that's you're there's a curiosity. That's way less committal than I am bisexual. And I think there's a lot of people, I think bi-curious is very common and accepted now. And because now that there's a correct, accurate title to it, people still want to get offended when it really is an accurate label. Like how, for example, trans attracted men, they don't want to be called, don't call me gay because I'm not gay. Okay, you're not gay. You're trans attracted, and they'll still be offended by being termed trans attracted, because guess what? You not heterosexual, because trans attracted is a part of that rainbow. You're not gay. Okay, you're not gay, but you are something.
Okay. And so, how about greedy? There's an old word. He's greedy. And now they term it sexually fluid.
Right, exactly. Another one.
Just greedy. You're just greedy. And go ahead, do what you want to do in your bedroom. I'm not interested. How y'all doing? Boom, we out in public. Let's kick it. That should not be a conversation, a daily conversation early in the morning, sitting there like, yeah, I was up. He had me bouncing. We just got here like, good morning. Like, I think people are just so out with everything that they're doing. Some things, to me, need to be kept.
Are private.
Like what we do here is what we do here. Like, has society changed so much that you look at everybody and be like, oh, okay, I wonder what they got going on?
No, but I do think with dating, and
but
if you have
look at every dude with gray sweatpants. It's sweatpants season.
I know. But no, I think when it comes to dating and considering someone, even if you're not dating, but like maybe you meet someone and you're like, maybe I'll start dating them. Like maybe there's a connection here. Maybe there's some feelings, right? Or like maybe there's some sexual attraction, but I'm not sure. If you are even starting to remotely explore having a sexual or romantic connection with someone, then most definitely what they're into, what their history is, where that it matters. That it definitely matters.
That's when you need to discuss it
or think about it, ponder it. And,
I not think about it, ponder it. I need to know what's going on. Like, remember we had Eugene on Why I Sleep with Down Low Husbands? That needs to be a
check that episode
out. Yeah, bring that back out, right? So when he was talking, he said what he said, and I loved his honesty. His thing was, This is why I sleep with down low husbands, because you're not doing what he wants you to do. He wants to be straight and not gay. But like you said, Amber, yeah, okay. And Nick, y'all like, well, what do you call it? But his girl won't do those type things. And if he asked her to use a dildo, then she gonna go tell everybody, probably in the church, he gay, da. That's why he won't say anything. And that's what I got out of that show with, why I sleep with down low husbands. This is why. But he actually shared that he likes both. Remember, Eugene said he likes both?
Yeah.
But he likes a masculine female.
Right.
So you find what you find, but let's talk about when a child wants to switch teams, and one of the parents are not okay. So this guy, he ended up transitioning to be a female, and his mom was okay with it, but the dad wasn't. And the dad was still calling him his birth name. And everybody jumped on this bandwagon to cancel the dad out. But why is it that everybody has to agree this is what you want to do because you're more comfortable, but dad was uncomfortable and you won't respect dad's feelings? So why is it that we can't stand by what we want, but you can? You understand what I mean? Do you understand the question?
Yeah, like,
why does there have to be? Go ahead.
We just need to learn to respect each other's opinions, and that's where the lines always get crossed, because you don't respect my opinion, but you expect me to respect yours. That's not gonna work. It's not. That's just like the saying, agree to disagree. Like, you have to be and that's where we lose. You have to be respectful, whether you like it or not,
or be
just be respectful.
Yeah,
that's what
feelings. Go ahead, Amber D.
My question for this story that you're bringing up, was the person that was transitioning, were they a minor?
No.
Oh, they were adults. It was grown.
Well, the senior year, he was looking at his son for the prom, and he had a whole dress on. So the dad thought it was the daughter. He had no idea that it was the son. Now, some would say, well, where was the dad? Was he absent? The dad didn't live in the same area, and the dad was incarcerated some years. The dad gets out, but the dad is still calling him who he knew him to be, his son. And his name, he was calling him his birth name. Here's my thing with younger people, and I'm going to use Zaya since his parents are celebrities, public figures. And kudos to them. But as a parent, why aren't you looking at, this is who I birth? I can't remember the one lady's name. She's popular. She was on different shows too, saying my son is still my son, and you can't make me. Do you remember her?
She's a senator or something from
she's
something. Yeah, I remember.
Politician, and she said her son is still her son. You can't tell me that that's not my son. And people are jumping on the bandwagon trying to cancel her because she gave birth to a son. And he now wants to be a daughter, and she's still looking at him as her son. We need to take into consideration that, okay, this is how you feel, but what about how I feel? Because here's the thing that these children, I'm sure they hadn't paid attention to. As a parent, if one of my children decided to switch over, and you want me to accept you as this person, and today is, what's today? The 15th? What's today? Yeah, the 15th. Today is October 15th. One of my children decided to switch over, and you want me to call you this name, Susan, or I don't know, for her, Mike or whatever. Here's what you need to consider. So as of October 15th, I'm calling you Susan, but you want me to erase everything from the day you were born to October 14th.
Mhm.
All of my memories, boom, gone, and start fresh and to know you for who you want to be right now. And I don't think people are looking at it that way. You know, you want what you want, and that's fine. But you have to give a parent some time to say, okay, because as a parent, you remember the day you birthed your child, all the funny things that happen. You know what I mean? Like if your child transitioned, oh, I remember, you peed, boom, like a puppy, like my grandson, and peed like a puppy right on the floor. Like I was like, what? So all of those funny memories, and now you decide you want to switch. So I have to learn. So it's like erase your memories, mom, erase your memories, dad, throwing football, all that other stuff, because this is what I'm doing now. And I don't think people are taking that into consideration. So it is kind of hard, and it's like, you want me to call you some other name that I actually took the time.
Mm.
And Nick, with your godchildren, the whole nine of your homegirls who had children, oh, I'm going to name my baby this. How much time you spend on what you plan on naming your child. I mean, all of that, getting prepared. So it's like, okay, parent, erase all that. This is what I want to do right now. And I demand you to respect me. But they're not respecting you or accepting that this is going to take some time. And I think that's
guess what though?
they need
On
to.
top of all that,
Huh? Go ahead.
on top of all that, you can change who you want to be, but guess what? Your birth certificate is gonna remain the same.
Well, guess what?
Now
They're
you're not
not gonna
gonna say
change.
Not anymore.
They can
What?
change.
They're
They can
changing that
change.
now?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Like, no, that's crazy. Why? Like, you were not born this way, so why are they now allowing them to change their birth certificate? I don't care who you want to be when you get grown.
Yes.
You want to be Jasmine now, but you was born Jerome.
Yes.
Baby, you can't change the fact that you was born Jerome. You might be able to change to be Jasmine, but you were not born Jasmine. You were born Jerome. Leave it alone. Let that be.
Just what Amber said, rewriting history.
Mm-hmm.
Woo, child, listen.
But the way that they'll be able to tell is by bone structure. Like after, if you look at it, anatomically, it'll be like, okay, this was a male, this was a female. But yeah, you can change it now. And is that fair to someone who may be straight and be like, because we're all love is love, and they may be straight and they meet someone who transition. Well, I shouldn't say transition because that's like death, but are now transgender, change your gender. And they didn't tell that person. And their birth certificate is saying female, changing everything that was.
Mm-hmm.
So is changing everything that was a good thing?
No. Absolutely.
It's not.
No.
It's not.
No.
That's just okay. You wanted to change. You felt like you were not. You never felt like a man. You always felt like a woman. That's fine. But you were still born a male. Just leave it.
And you know what's interesting?
And that's part of your so-called truth. Be truthful. Be upfront.
Now I'm with you on that. And here's what's interesting. Looking at it and saying, look how far I've come. Look at it as an achievement. Don't erase it. Look at it as growth. Just like all these words and phrases you want to omit. No, let's add on. We need more communication.
That's like, because you trying to erase history, you erasing everything. That's what America, that's what society is trying to do to us.
You're
exactly.
You. And that's why I say, from a parent standpoint, be understanding and be okay with the differences. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, this is who you want to be right now. Fine. But can I have a level of compassion? You want me to show you compassion and accept me with my process and my thoughts. Like, this is going to take some time. Maybe I need counseling too. Like, let's do this together. We both can counsel together. So, so that I can get some understanding and clarity. What you got, Amber D? Go ahead.
I'm just thinking myself personally, and if my son was like, "Oh, I always felt like I wanted to be a girl," and I'm like, I'm just thinking if I'm really putting myself in that parent's shoes, like I would reject it. I'm sorry. It wouldn't be like, well, give me some time and I'm gonna be like that politician. Like, no, period. Like, like, and when we did talk about it, I have the same stance. Like, if your assigned gender and your physiological anatomy and your chromosomes are all in alignment. Those three things are all in alignment. And then you were socialized in that same gender. So 4 things. So all 4 things are consistent. No, you wasn't born in the wrong body. There wasn't a mistake made. Everything's a consistent wrong across the board. You wrong. You're mistaken. You confused. Sorry. And that's how I would feel as a parent to my own child. Sorry.
Why are you apologizing for your truth?
I mean, because
I didn't say that. Look, I did that on Be Inspired. These useless apologies. Like, we should not have to apologize for our truth. Like, and call it what you want. Call it what you want. You are allowed to express your truth. Everyone is allowed to express their truth until what? Somebody's offended? Who? Somebody that you don't know? That's what we got to look at. Somebody that you don't know. If you care about somebody, you're like, okay, well, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but what about my feelings? So me not expressing my truth to save yours, you know what I mean? To save your feelings is causing me stress and anxiety. Now I got to go and get medicated. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, everybody speak your voice, freedom of speech, do what you do, say what you want to say and feel how you want to feel. Oh, wait a minute, I was offended. Oh, let's jump on this bandwagon and now let's bully this person so they really need some to see a psychiatrist, or they really need, to get some treatment. Come on. It's a double standard. And I always say, you got to be careful because the bullied is becoming the bully. Don't cancel culture. Change the channel. There's some people that don't like us. I'm grouping us. Some people that don't like me. It's okay. You don't have to watch me because guess what? You will attract your community.
Yes.
You will attract your community. We're okay. I don't expect you to come to dinner. It's all good. But can we eat at the same table? We can. We definitely can do that. All right, lovely people. We coming to the close of the show. Hey, listen, I got to get this stuff done right now. Food drive by honoring breast cancer survivors, benefiting protested family services to help those in need for the holidays. Faith, hope, cure. When? Saturday, October 29th. It's a food drive. Let me put that out there. Saturday, October the 29th, 1320 Belmont Avenue, Youngstown, Ohio. DMHD Family Practice parking lot. That's Dr. Dave. The time is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Items are non-perishable food items, canned goods, and monetary donations are accepted. All right. And we know this food is high. So if you have the ability to help and donate, please do so. We truly appreciate it. Today's show goes to a good friend of mine, Lisa Reed, who passed away from breast cancer. Yes, yes, yes. And all those out there who survived breast cancer, we love you here on Shop Talk, and just know that. So let me give you today's footnote. And it's actually a question. Why? Tell me again, why can't we get along and accept the differences from each other? Why? We should be able to do that, right? All right, I want to say goodbye to my co-hosts. I'm bringing them back, all right? So, lovely people, let's give it up to Nick the Voice, who joined us today. Thank you for coming on, Nick the Voice. Say goodbye. I told you I can't sing. I'm tone deaf. And also to the lovely Amber D. the analyst. She gonna give it to you. We already know.
Bye, guys.
All right, you know what it is. Find you, embrace you. Most importantly, always, always love you. Until next week, people, you know what it is. Shop Talk on your favorite podcast.